Is this the end of the road for classic cars? Does the fight against climate change condemn these moving pieces of history to the grave?
It's disrespectful and ignorant. The way the reverence for things built in the past is now simply tossed aside.
The only solution is to use perhaps also some fossil fuels.
Or are these seemingly immortal machines an integral part of a climate-friendly future?
We have to address this issue of sustainability that clearly is of so much interest to future generations.
Can electric drivetrains or synthetic fuels provide a solution?
I could imagine some niche markets, and the old-timers are one of those niche markets, where e-fuels could indeed play a role.
There is no progress without an understanding of the past.
Is driving a classic car more sustainable than buying a new car?
Classic cars stand for preservation rather than replacement. They are a rejection of the use and throw mentality.
Producing cars has a major environmental impact. Building a modern EV, for example, produces 26 tons of CO2 emissions. By the time a classic could emit this amount of pollutants, its owner could theoretically drive it for an average of 2,000 kilometers a year for 46 years. But is this the final nail in the coffin for the classic car?
Of course, they can survive easily too, provided one understands what they really are. Classic cars are witnesses of mobility that have survived the years and have shaped our lifestyles more than anything else.
And things are in motion in the classic car scene. At the last Mille Miglia, the traditional Italian race for historic vehicles, Mercedes entered cars that were powered by e-fuel, a synthetically produced CO2-neutral fuel that can be used in combustion engines.
I think there will be always, or also in the future, events or races like the Mille Miglia, because this is part of our culture, of our history, of our heritage. So therefore, we also proved this year, we drove all our classic cars with synthetic fuel, with e-fuels, and proved that it is possible even at a long endurance race like the Mille Miglia. We drove over 2,000 kilometers with e-fuels without any problems.
Can e-fuels save classic cars and the climate? Some politicians seem to like this idea.
Historic vehicles should be filled with e-fuels so that they have the ability to be used on the street in proper historic condition.
And even critics seem to agree, seeing e-fuels in classic cars positively.
E-fuels are super expensive, super inefficient, and they will not be an option for the mass market. But I could imagine some niche markets, and the old-timers are one of those niche markets, where e-fuels could indeed play a role.
Mercedes left no stone unturned in their efforts to ensure their historic vehicles were climate-friendly at the Mille Miglia. The Mercedes 300 SL from the 1950s was accompanied for over 2,000 kilometers by a tanker carrying e-fuel that the car needed.
E-fuels aren't the solution for classic cars, because you'd always have to carry the e-fuel with you on road trips. A specific network of e-fuel stations doesn't exist, and I don't think it will be built anytime soon.
Are e-fuels more than just a niche solution for classic cars? It's a discussion that has been dividing Europe at the political level for some time. Should e-fuels in combustion engine cars find a place in sustainable, climate-friendly mobility?
I'm convinced that you will find e-fuels also at the filling station. And there will be a market for e-fuels, but of course for a higher price. Look to Porsche. They are producing e-fuels together with HIF in Chile, with the idea behind that round about 2/3 of all Porsches ever produced are still on the road. And Porsche wants to deliver e-fuels to their customers so that they can drive with these historic Porsches in future as well.
While some people want to hold on to their traditions, others are radically breaking with the creeds of the past. The traditional classic car rally, Mille Miglia, now also has an eco-class, the Mille Miglia Green, in which electric vehicles also compete. As a response to the global electrification of mobility, classics are being converted into e-powered cars. Back in 2015, a German company called eCap Mobility began converting classic cars to EVs by putting electric drivetrains in them. Which means a 1938 DKW suddenly feels very different to drive.
This car is now 80 years old and it's having another revival. One sits in the open enjoying the scenery without the noise. I don't believe that with a converted classic like this, I am likely to influence climate change. But this might trigger a thought in the general populace that it's possible to change things if you want to.
Belgian company Monceau Automobiles specializes in turning Mercedes classics from the W107 series, made in the 70s and 80s, into modern electric cars.
For me, it's the combination of the passion for cars, and specifically for Mercedes cars, and the passion for the ongoing energy transition.
In Einbeck in Lower Saxony, Karl-Heinz Rehkopf still regularly motors through the streets in his Mercedes-Benz Victoria from 1894. It is the oldest registered car in the world, and for him, it's entirely unthinkable to convert this machine with a switch to electric power.
I would consider this a huge sin. It's a demonstration of disrespect and ignorance. The way the reverence for things created in the past is now tossed aside, and new technology is mixed in that corrupts the original machine.
Are e-powered classics still considered real classic cars? For Philip Battiani, this is a question of faith. Even though his BMW was only built in the 1970s, to him, removing the petrol engine would be sacrilege.
Above all, you would take away the heart of the car. In a BMW, the engine has always been the focus. As the name BMW suggests, Bayerische Motorenwerke, if you replace the motor, you would be gutting the car. You would be taking away its heart and soul.
A faith that won't waver even in the face of potential driving bans.
If internal combustion engine cars are banned, then I would say I'd just let the car stand. And then it will just be a cultural asset or a piece of history that stands still. The very essence of a vehicle is that it moves. If it simply stands in a museum, then a very important characteristic of the car is lost. It's important that these vehicles are preserved and remain visible in running condition, as a museum on wheels, so to speak.
Als rollendes Museum sozusagen.
The Museum on Wheels concept has found a passionate fan base all over the world. Classic car events such as the Concorso d'Eleganza or the Mille Miglia in Italy, Pebble Beach in California, or Goodwood in England attract hordes of people. And historic vehicles have long since become investment pieces that are traded like shares. An electric motor in such a vehicle would result in a drastic drop in the price.
The car is no longer true to history, but arbitrarily modified. It's like if you were to retouch a painting by the old masters for it to conform to modern tastes. The value of a classic car lies in the preservation of the original technology.
But cars with older technology face other issues. The Mille Miglia's original route has been modified in recent times because an increasing number of old towns have driving bans on environmentally harmful combustion-engined machines, a problem that also concerns politicians. The future of classic cars is also important to the European Parliament in Brussels.
We discussed it here in the European Parliament quite intensively. And the first action we did was to reflect about a definition what a historic vehicle is. So this is really crucial and important because if you are asking for exemptions for a historic vehicle, you have to be crystal clear what a historical car or motorbike is. not all old cars are really historic vehicles. A historic vehicle demonstrates the history of mobility, but only if it's really in this historic condition.
There is still plenty of discussion when it comes to the question of what a real classic car, or indeed a real historic vehicle, is. In Germany, any car that was first registered at least 30 years ago is considered a classic car. But even on this roller coaster of a debate, members of the classic car scene remain optimistic.
Races like the Mille Miglia will there be in the future as well? Definitely. For us, the classic cars on the roads is our living heritage.
I see the classic car scene as a scene that has been consolidated and has a huge following.
Even knowing that the historic vehicle movement has also a problem with the average age. The historic vehicle movement has really a big challenge to interest younger people also.
Lunas in Silverstone, England has focused precisely on this target group. The company converts classic British cars from the past into electric cars in order to inspire an environmentally conscious young generation.
My daughter, she sings this song, go green, make the planet green. These are building cars and passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles for future generations.
And that's why a Rolls-Royce Phantom 5 from the early 1960s, whose 8 cylinders once led to some environmental concerns, now glides silently and emission-free over lanes in the English countryside.
We have to address this issue of sustainability that clearly is of so much interest to future generations. We know that younger people are less engaged with cars in the way that previous generations were. And, you know, we're really proud to provide an answer for them and provide an answer to the long-term preservation of these beautiful objects.
But environmental awareness also comes at a hefty price. The incredibly complex conversion of a car into an electric classic costs €700,000.
Given the low mileage of less than 1,500 kilometers per year on average, such a conversion would also be ecologically completely pointless.
Karl-Heinz Rehkopf drives his Mercedes-Benz Victoria into an uncertain future. An electric conversion would be ecologically pointless, and e-fuels are probably not an option either. The engine from 1894 only starts if you fill it with special light petrol, which is also available in pharmacies under the name Wound Petrol. Is one of the world's oldest cars in danger of being banned from the streets?
This is a demonstration of disrespect and ignorance that can potentially turn into madness and might wipe away a reverence for things that were created in the past.
The only solution is to use perhaps also some fossil fuels, because in average, and this is well known, the mileage and the kilometers driven by historic vehicles are quite limited. So this is not a major problem for the climate change situation in Europe.
If you look at the entire chain, from raw materials to vehicle production, operation and disposal, then classic cars represent long-term products and therefore have a very favorable CO2 footprint. It's true, it doesn't get much more sustainable than this. Classic cars stand for preservation rather than replacement. They are a rejection of the use and throw mentality. I'd like to encourage you to look into the future while still keeping an eye on the past. I always say there is no future without the past. There is no progress without an understanding of the past.
Do classic cars still have a future? Can our automotive cultural heritage stay in motion with electricity, climate-friendly fuels, or even fossil fuels? Or will they end motionless in museums? What do you think? Let us know in the comments.